To celebrate this special week, which is Negroni week, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 exciting new riffs on one of my favorite drinks, starting with this, the coffee Negroni sour. So of the 3 recipes I'm going to share with you this week, this seems like the absolute perfect place to start. I think a Negroni can be a little bit of a divisive drink. I know the people who love it, absolutely love it. It tends to be their favorite cocktail. But I think a lot of people, and this might be you, are kind of freaked out by the bittersweet element of a Negroni and the intensity. So a classic Negroni, as you probably know, is equal parts gin, Campari, and sweet vermouth. Fantastic drink, but as I say, big flavors, lots of bitterness, lots of kind of botanical notes, which some people love, but some people don't. So this is designed to be the most accessibly flavored Negroni. If you think of a whiskey sour, it's like the perfect gateway into drinking whiskey. This is my equivalent. We're introducing coffee in quite an interesting way, subbing out our gin and adding this, which is our spent coffee gin. Very easy to make, which I'll talk through in a second. But this just brings a subtle coffee note, which I think really complements the drink, but it's also optional. So if you don't want to drink coffee, completely fine, still make this, just stick with regular gin. The second change we're going to make just brings kind of a frame to our Negroni. So we're going to add acidity in the form of lemon juice, and then also sweetness over here in the form of a pure cane syrup from Monin. But this is really flexible, just like the coffee is optional. This sugar syrup could be any flavored syrup from Monin, who are sponsoring this video. Adds completely different flavors to the drink, different characteristics, and you can experiment with this infinitely. So sweetness, acidity, got that bitterness from the drink itself. And then the last thing we're gonna add for texture is gonna be aquafaba, which is the water from a can of chickpeas. So this brings that nice creaminess, that roundness that you might be familiar with a whiskey sour, and just finishes off our coffee Negroni sour. So just before we build the drink, which is really easy to do, if you enjoy this, coffee or cocktails, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and there's gonna be lots more content like this. So let's build. So the next deviation we're gonna make from a classic Negroni is that we're actually gonna shake this. So a classic Negroni, because it's very booze forward, we wanna chill, mix, and dilute, and stirring's a really good way to do that, and it gives that really silky, elegant texture. But this is completely different. We wanna whip it up, add that nice foaminess, that creaminess with the aquafaba. So shaken is gonna be the way to go. So, very simple build, starting with 40 mils of our spent coffee gin. And this is actually made using leftover espresso pucks, but you could use filter coffee grounds, both would work really nicely. Just change the amount of time you leave it to get that flavor into the gin. So very simple, 1 part of your spent coffee, either your pucks or your filter grounds, goes into a jar with 10 parts of a good London dry gin. Give this a good shake to mix it all together, infuse that until you get that coffee flavor in the gin. And this takes around about 12 hours with espresso pucks, probably a little bit longer with filter coffee grounds, but either way, you want it to take on loads of that kind of bittersweet coffee note. And you can use any coffee here. I used kind of traditional Brazilian coffee, but experiment to get different flavor profiles. And this is a really versatile ingredient. So we're gonna use this more in the future, but 40 mils of that, and then a very simple build, 20 mils of Campari. And as I said, this is very accessible in terms of flavor as it is. But if you wanted to go super mild, really avoid pretty much most of the bitterness in the drink, you could sub this out, bring Aperol into the mix, do 20 mils of Aperol instead, and this would be very light on bitterness and even more approachable. But we want to have some fun. Campari is a key element of a Negroni. I think it's really important to keep it in here if you can. And the other ingredients are going to build around it, so don't be afraid of this. And then 40 mils of our base gin, 20 mils of Campari. We're going to go 20 mils again of sweet vermouth. And for this, I'm going with Cocchi di Torino Storico, which has got loads of kind of crunchy red fruit flavor, a little bit of kind of herbal character in there as well. Very delicious. Once again, experiment with different vermouths. And then for our acidity, 20 mils of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And now we're kind of moving into our sour territory. So the next ingredient, which is a really kind of open book, perfect for experimentation, comes from this video's sponsor, which is Monin. So I'm going with 10 mils of pure cane syrup, which gives a really nice balance of sweetness, but it doesn't bring any flavor. Something you could do here is sub this out for literally any other Monin syrup. Different flavors will obviously impact the final flavor of the drink, but there's so many different flavors you could incorporate here. Off the top of my head, any citrus fruits, blood orange, grapefruit would work really nicely, but don't be limited by that. You can add things that are kind of contrasting. You could experiment with a white chocolate syrup, would be really nice. Coconut and Campari work incredibly well. So whichever Monin syrup you choose, It's going to work perfectly because they're all equivalent to around about a 2-to-1 sugar syrup. They all taste amazing. They all work perfectly in this cocktail and lots of other cocktails. And by knowing one recipe here, switching out your sugar syrup to anything pretty much in the Monin range that's going to work flavor-wise, you know, tens if not hundreds more cocktails. So this is a really simple template. The Monin syrup's a really good way to experiment with this. And then the final ingredient is going to be 20 mils of aquafaba. And what this is the liquid from a can of chickpeas. So now that's all together, we're going to give this a good shake over 2 very big ice blocks. But the moral of the story here is use plenty of ice. You want to really kind of chill the drink rapidly, but also give yourself time to get that texture in the drink. So good hard shake, just like you would with an espresso martini. Get it nice and cold, get it nice and foamy. And then we're just going to fine strain this over a couple of big ice blocks. You can see it's really creamy. Totally different to a classic Negroni in terms of texture, but a very pretty drink. Just going to take a little orange coin to express over the drink for that amazing aroma. And then garnish with a very pretty little cherry, because they're very tasty right now. And there we have the coffee Negroni sour. So if you love Negronis, I think you'll still enjoy this. If you don't like Negronis, you definitely need to try this. Texturally, it's incredible. Flavor-wise, it's definitely a Negroni at its heart, but it's just got that width from the acidity and the sweetness from the lemon and the sugar. As I said before, the coffee gin is actually optional. You could use regular gin, you could use different spirits. You don't have to add coffee here, but I love coffee cocktails, obviously. That's what this channel is all about. So I think this, as a template, is really, really fantastic. So whether you love or hate Negronis, give this one a try. I think you'll be surprised. If you've enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking here. A big thanks to Monin for making this drink and many, many variations possible. I'll put the website in the description below so you can check out the huge range of syrups they have. Thanks to you for watching. Watch more videos by clicking here or here, and I will see you in the next one. Enjoy a coffee Negroni sour. Cheers.